So here's the thing. I never thought that I would be making a long form video, but this phone and the circumstances and the kind of gaming things that they're advertising, it made a sort of a long video around. It will not be very long. It will be like 10 minutes max, but these 10 minutes will actually be focused on the frame interpolation thing with this phone, the iQOO Neo 10. And the reason for that is that I know the frame interpolation thing is going to be very confusing for a lot of people. So what I will do is, as you can see, I have the device here. I already have the scene FPS meter enabled, as you can see, and I also have the FPS, the refresh rate of the display enabled. Yeah, when you keep it down and keep it on standby, it goes down to 60 hertz like every other phone. But apart from that, it's the same thing. Yeah. So here's the thing: the 144 hertz that is advertised for this phone is actually in three games: Genshin Impact, BGMI, and New State. PUBG, formerly known as PUBG New State. That New State. So the thing is that the problem with the phone is, like, iQOO is already very clear that 144 FPS will only run in these three specific scenarios, and that too only with the iQOO Q1 chip enabled for frame interpolation settings. Hence, these three games, the ones that I mentioned, Genshin, BGMI, and New State, are the only three games which are enabled for 144 FPS support on this phone. Okay. Apart from that, I have heard that some iQOO phones run on 144 FPS in BGMI, but apart from that, in the actual games, these three games support the frame interpolation thing and can run at 144 Hz or 144 FPS, whichever way you want to call it. I will explain to you soon. Okay. So here's the thing. In BGMI, let me just open it up once. BGMI. So as you can see in BGMI itself, yeah, it's still loading. Yeah, in BGMI itself, you get native 120 FPS by default, and this runs very smooth, guys. Okay, you do not, I do not think, even though the support for frame interpolation BGMI is there, as you can see here, you can see that the frame interpolation support is there, and it will run at 144 Hz. The FPS meter shows a different value, but I will explain it with a real life case of Genshin Impact soon. But as you can see, let me just lower the volume a bit. The 144 FPS support is there, but I don't think you need the 144 FPS support in BGMI via the Q1 chip, because of the simple reason that you already have native 120 FPS, which will make the phone run cooler and more stable as compared to frame interpolation. The main advantage of frame interpolation is actually not in BGMI or in New State, because you will likely get higher FPS there. The main advantage of frame interpolation actually comes in games like Genshin Impact. One more thing I should mention before actually starting the game: my unit is the top end variant, that is the 16 GB RAM and 512 GB storage. I have been told that this is the highest variant of this phone, and this variant might actually be like, this video is being shot 2 days before the Indian launch. I do not have any prices. We usually do not get any prices until the morning of the launch, or even after the launch sometimes. So the pricing details I do not know, but this specific 16 GB RAM 512 GB variant is likely to be very pricey. So I'm guessing around 39,000. The updated price you guys will already know by the time this video goes live. So do keep that in mind, that I have the highest end variant of the device. So now, as you can see, we have started the game, the Genshin Impact. So now what I will show is, like, this game is the perfect example of the utility of frame interpolation, because as I explained before, and I will show it to you just now, let's just load it. It's just loaded. So I am in the game. Now as you can see, no, not this. As you can see in the settings itself, in the graphic settings, you can see that I have set everything to the highest, but everything is on the highest possible settings. So this is the default that we will be using to testing the frame interpolation and take a gameplay with and without the frame interpolation to see the difference that it creates. Now, one important thing to note is that in Genshin Impact, the frame interpolation becomes useful, much more useful and much more noticeable because of the fact of this. On most Android devices, on many iOS devices as well, it only supports 60 FPS maximum. You simply cannot put a mail to Hoyoverse as a brand and ask them to enable the higher FPS support because that is simply not baked into the Genshin system, especially on Android devices. So the solution has to be from the brands, and some of the brands iQOO, Red Magic, their solution has been to incorporate frame interpolation. That I just make it original quality. Yes, the super resolution is a different thing. It is also enabled by the iQOO Q1 chip, but all it does is just boost the textures and visuals a bit more than nothing else. Main important factor is the frame interpolation thing. And this thing is the reason why I feel that this device is the best you can get if you are a Genshin Impact player under rupees 40,000. If you play Genshin a lot, that is all you care about on the phone and have a budget of about 40,000 Indian rupees or something, this is the device to go for, especially because of this technology. So what it does is, if I turn it on, yeah, as you can see, the scene FPS meter drops, but that is not an issue. I will show it in the gameplay. But as you can see, the display goes up to a 144 Hz and it can actually show in the real gameplay. This video is being recorded at 1080p 60 using the OnePlus 13, but apart from that, you can see the difference in smoothness that it creates versus 60 FPS. You can see it here right now. The difference in smoothness seems to be huge, but this is not the right way to test it. The right way to test it is by doing a few fights, getting in trouble, and understanding that the difference that the in frame interpolation creates versus the difference that is not actually created. So I will do these test runs. The main reason for doing these test runs, these simulate the huge fights that we usually see in the game. And if I had to do it in a random way, I would have to just go everywhere and search it. But this is just a reference. The actual fighting, the actual exploration, I have already done in a scene FPS statistics that I have taken before this video was made. My main purpose in this video is actually to show the frame interpolation and how it works. So BGMI, you don't need it. In my honest opinion, you can do well with the native 120 FPS that it has. New State also, I think New State has high FPS on many devices, so I don't think that will be an issue either if you do not have frame interpolation there. But for a game like Genshin Impact, as you will see in the two tests I will do with and without frame interpolation, with these three fights, 1, 2, 3, you will notice that the frame interpolation tech is actually making a difference despite what the scene FPS meter indicates, and the refresh rate matches with the FPS that can be seen in the game actually. Not the scene meter. Scene meter is having some issues. I've just kept here to show the reference because I know some creators will come, they will say that, oh, the scene meter is running at 47 FPS. So what is this frame interpolation thing doing? So the issue there is with the scene FPS meter, in my opinion, as you will see in the actual gameplay. So let's just begin. First, I will do the gameplay without the frame interpolation enabled. As you can see, it is currently disabled. And now I will start these three fights one after the other. Stay tuned. Now I will not talk much in the middle of these fights, but I will be giving a few points and opinions in the middle of these fights. So relax and just notice. So as you can see, we are in the first fight. Frame interpolation is disabled. And game super resolution is also disabled for those who want to know about that. And the scene meter shows proper 60 fps as it should. The display refresh rate is also 60 Hz. So let's begin. The only issue is my ping seems to be a little high, but I don't think that will be a huge issue for this gameplay comparison. Let's see. Now I will begin. Now let's move on to the next fight. Same conditions as before, no frame interpolation is enabled, no super resolution is enabled until round 2 after the third fight. It ended in the middle of the elemental burst. Navi is just too powerful. Now let's go on to the next one. And this fight will be interesting because I am sure it will be the heaviest fight of the three in both my tests. There are a lot of explosions, a lot of elemental reactions all occurring at the same time, and the enemies are also much tougher. Furthermore, this is a Natlan character, and the Natlan characters get their own entire environment based in Natlan, which is actually very taxing on the phones itself because Natlan was a new unoptimized region. So let's see. Frame interpolation disabled. I hate this portion.
Come here, you little rascal. I'll take round. Time to say hello. Here. Witness the power of Rupa. Ready now? Right, Tasmagoria. Be right there. Mind your step.
As you can see, the non frame interpolation one has now been completed. Now what I will do is I will turn on frame interpolation and show these three fights again. So now it is time to start the testing again, but this time I will run it at the frame interpolation setting of 144 Hz. Okay, as you can see, now there are two conditions. First, it heats up the phone a lot more than the 60 fps mode. So definitely sit under a fan or an AC or get yourself a mobile cooler. Or secondly, as you can see here, if the temperature goes too high, the ceiling of the temperature that I have noticed is, sorry for the dog in the background, the ceiling of the temperature that I have noticed for frame interpolation is actually 47-40 degrees Celsius. If the battery temperature goes above 47 degrees Celsius, it will drop down back to 60 hertz. So you can use frame interpolation but sit in a cooler environment or a fan or AC, and the difference will actually be very noticeable, as you will see in the tests that I will do right now. As you can see, the wait, yeah, the scene FPS meter shows an FPS about 46, 48 FPS, 48 FPS, and but the display meter shows how much. The display meter shows 144 hertz, but the scene meter shows 48 FPS. So, but the difference will be huge in real world. As you can see already, the scrolling feels much smoother. So let's just go and start it.
Now's your chance. Off to the breather.
As you can see,
There. Ready for a getting. Getting here. Frost is coming. Witness the power of Kuwa. Know my sword. Leave the wounded to me. Goose on the loose. A dash of frosting. Another one. Going on. Did I get in here? Let's keep going, team. Let me leave you a verse. Rain outlines your fate. Know my sword. A burst of flavor.
let's keep going.
Everybody stand back. You're in toast. Submit. It's no. Fire. Let's rock.
As you can see, even in the heaviest of situations, it is running so smooth with the frame interpolation enabled.
Give up. Coming at you. A silver send-up. From the Spinalist. Hey there.
Now it's time for the toughest fight of them all, with the frame interpolation turned on, and I guarantee you, you will notice the difference with this one.
I'll take route. I'll take route. Easy now, Kakuku. Yeah. Time to say hello. Witness the power of Kuwa, body and mind. After the waiting. Come here, you little rascal. Easy now, Kakuku. Easy now, Kakuku. Easy now, Kakuku. Go. Free now. Free. Let me leave you a verse. Rain outlines your fate.
So, as you just saw, definitely the frame interpolation made a huge difference in the actual gameplay. I reverted it back to 60 FPS right now because of the camera, because of the reason that I am sitting in a completely dark room. Yes, there is a fan running in the background, but it is very far away from me. Okay, and the none of the cooling of the fan, barely any cooling of the fan can actually reach the phone. So what I can say is that you can use the frame interpolation, but use it if you are sitting directly under a fan or in a cooler environment or under an AC, because then you will not feel this issue. Because what happens in frame interpolation is there are two chips running at the same time, okay, which increases the power load and consumption. But if you are actually able to use this tech, and if it can be supplemented by better cooling on future iQOO and other brands which use this tech, if the cooling can be better with this tech, this is actually a game changer for games like Genshin Impact. For BGMI, I reiterate, you do not need frame interpolation. If the phone has native 120 FPS by default, a native FPS is always better than frame interpolation. I will also highlight that, because native FPS does not heat your phone too much. It does not heat up your, it does not cause stability issues in the short term, because like native FPS will still run smoother than the 120 FPS or whatever frame interpolation you'll do. So here's the thing, like if you have native FPS in a game, please use that. 120 to 144 FPS suppose in BGMI won't make a huge difference at all. But if you are doing Genshin Impact, where the game only supports 60 FPS, and you can have an external cooler, or the phone has adequate cooling, or you are sitting under a fan and AC and you can use frame interpolation, definitely do it, because it will make the experience much better. And I found it to be much useful than more useful than the super resolution thing, because the super resolution thing only boosts the textures a bit, nothing else. So that's all for this comparison. I hope you understood what the frame interpolation tech does, why the scene stats are different. It could be a bug on scene's end, okay, but I cannot say that the device is not running frame interpolation properly. So I hope this video cleared all your queries, and thanks for watching. I will not be getting into long form content, but this video was necessary to clear out a few doubts which people would have had related to frame interpolation tech on this phone, the iQOO Neo 10. So I hope I cleared those doubts. If you have any more questions, do ask me below. That's about it.